One Saturday night, I found 40 things wrong with my own website, and I was thrilled about it. I poured a coffee at 11 at night, like I'd won something. My friend Frances says that makes me a danger to my own clients. By the end of this, I'm going to show you she's exactly half right. The other half is the most important thing I know about doing this work well.
This is Sites I've Never Seen, the show, where Christopher and I open up the work behind the work. The sites, the code, the Saturday night rabbit holes nobody else gets to listen in on. And we argue about what actually mattered. I'm Frances, I run my own shop. I read every invoice that crosses my desk. And my job here is to make this man prove what he believes before he says it to you. Christopher, you walked in with a thesis. I already told you I don't think you can sell it, so sell it.
Here's the thesis. The 40-page website audit you paid good money for is mostly theater. The whole value of it is 3 lines you could have fit on a napkin. And the person who hands you 40 findings instead of 3 isn't being thorough. They're skipping the hard part and charging you extra for the weight of the paper.
That's a great line. I don't trust great lines. Every consultant alive says, "It depends," and hides behind a thick report. And now you're telling me the thick report is the con. So convince me that just do 3 isn't you being lazy and calling it wisdom. Start with your Saturday. 40 things. Take me there.
Gladly, lights off except the screen. I opened on one of my own pages the raw code under the page and asked it to count one thing. The count came back 2.
2 of what?
2 answers to a question that only gets 1. What is this page, mainly? My own site was telling a search engine 2 different stories about the same page and letting it pick which one to believe.
And nothing was broken. The page loaded.
The page was perfect. That's the part that hooks me every time. A tidy little checklist that morning would have told me the page was healthy because it was healthy in every way a checklist can see. So I kept looking. And once you're in there with the lights on, you find the next one and the one under that. By the end of the week, 40 real things, every one of them true.
Okay, here's where I do my job. When somebody hands me a list of 40 true things, I don't hear 40 problems solved. I hear a bill, so defend it. You found 40 true things. Why isn't that just good?
Because true and worth fixing are 2 different columns and the audit industry reads them as one. Watch. Of my 40, how many would change anything a customer ever feels? 3, maybe 4. And I knew that Saturday night while I was writing down the other 36.
Hold on. You knew that and you still wrote down 40?
I wrote down 40 because I was curious, not because I was going to bill 40. That's the whole distinction. And it's exactly the one a 40-page audit erases, because once it's printed and bound, every line looks like it's asking to be paid for.
All right, then let me make it real, because a thesis is cheap and a person is not. You want to know what your 40-page audit does once it leaves your hands? I had a client last year, runs a small custom furniture place, 2 employees. She does the books at her kitchen table on the Sunday nights. She paid an agency $4,000 for a website audit. Came back 43 pages, ranked by nothing she understood, written in a language she never agreed to learn.
And she read it.
She read the first 3 pages. There was a chart on page 2. Red, amber, green, and 40 rows. And almost all of it amber, which tells you nothing except that somebody owns a tool that makes charts. Page 9 was titled Opportunities. Page 31 was titled Further Opportunities. She got to a line that said her heading hierarchy was non-semantic, and she closed the laptop.
Non-semantic heading hierarchy on a furniture site.
On a furniture site, so she felt a little sick, put it in the drawer, and every single time she logs in to add a dining table, she remembers there are 40-some things wrong she's never going to touch. The audit didn't fix her site. It gave her a low-grade fever she carries around. And here's the part that actually makes me angry. 3 of those 43 pages mattered. Her contact form had been silently failing for 2 months. 2 months of people asking to buy a table, and the email just went nowhere.
How did she even find out?
That's the part that stays with me. She didn't find out from the audit. She found out because a woman stopped her at the farmer's market and said, "I emailed you twice about the walnut table. Did you not want the work?" And went home, sat down at that same kitchen table on a Sunday night, opened her inbox, and it was just empty. Not angry empty. Quiet. 8 weeks of quiet she'd read as a slow season. She told me she sat there doing the math on the tables she'd have built, out loud to nobody.
And that was in the report.
That was in the report. Page 26. Item 30-something. Same weight on the page as the heading thing. Same amber dot. The one finding that was costing her real sales, buried at the same volume as a finding that costs her nothing, in a document she stopped reading on page 3.
So that is my thesis with a face on it. The agency found her broken form. It was in there. They just buried it on page 26 instead of putting it on page 1, alone in a sentence she'd actually read.
They got paid for the page count. That's the incentive, and I'm not calling them villains. I'm saying the structure rewards the thick document. A thick document looks like effort. Effort is what gets invoiced. Nobody invoices for the 3 sentences that would have actually helped.
What were the 3 sentences?
Mice. Your contact form is broken. You're losing buyers right now. Fix it today. The other 2 things on this list can wait till you've got a slow week. Everything else in here, file it and forget it. 3 sentences. That's the whole product. That's the $4,000. The other 40 pages were packaging.
And that is exactly what I do with my own 40. Watch me practice it. I can tell you the 3 I'd put my hand on a client's shoulder for. The schema collision I started with. 2 labels fighting over what a page is, a search engine that genuinely doesn't know which to believe. Second, an alt text on a photo that described the wrong photo. Left from a swap years ago, so a blind visitor gets told they're looking at something that isn't there. Third, a page on my own site that had been quietly telling search engines it didn't exist for 8 months, so it slid off the results and nobody who didn't already know the address could find it.
Hold on, did that 3rd page sell anything?
It was a how-to that fed people into my contact form, so no invoice with my name on it. But a year of the exact people I wrote it for never arriving. Same shape as his form, just quieter. Hers stopped the buyers at the door. Mine made sure they never found the door.
Okay. That one I'd have put on page 1 too. So you've got 3 that matter. What about the other 37?
The other 37 are mine. Not the clients, not the invoices. Mine. None of them moved a sale, and most of them nobody will ever notice but me. And I'll fix them anyway, on my own Saturdays, because I can't quite walk past them.
So they're a hobby?
Let me back up, because hobby makes it sound like a waste, and I don't want to undersell it either. There's a word for it. It's the Japanese idea of caring about one small thing long past the point anyone asked, just to get it exactly right. The 37 are dots on eyes nobody but me will ever see. They're the little gift I give myself for still caring about the work after 19 years.
And the only place it turns into a problem is the second you put it on his clock. Or hand her the list and call it thorough.
That's exactly right, and it's why I price everything I can as a flat rate. The customer needs to know they're paying X dollars for a feature, full stop, the number agreed before I start. The hours I spend after that turning their code into poetry, that's not on the invoice. That's a gift I'm leaving for the next developer who opens the file, whoever they are. They'll never know my name. I'd like them to have a good afternoon anyway.
See, now that I'll sign, a number the customer can read, and the poetry on your own dime. That might be the cleanest thing you've said all day. And it's why I respect the looking while we're here, and I don't say that for free. I'd never sit down on a Saturday and read my own source code line by line. I'd ship and find out from a customer. You found it before anyone got hurt. The looking is real craft. I just price it at exactly 0 past finding 3.
And here's where I'll go sharper than I did walking in. The 40 findings aren't a list of problems, they're a list of decisions somebody has to make. And when you hand a client all 40 unranked, You've made none of them. You've handed the choosing back to her, the one person in the room least able to make it.
Say that again.
A long audit isn't thoroughness, it's a senior person declining to do the senior part. The hard part was never the finding. Anyone with the right tool finds 40. The hard part is standing in front of 40 true things and saying which 3 matter this month for this exact person and owning that call out loud.
And when you won't make that call, you don't save the client anything. You charge them for the decisions you skipped. A finding you won't fix is a fact you paid to ignore.
That's the whole thing. The 37 aren't findings anymore once you've decided not to fix them for her. They're just facts. Facts paid for, and now gets to feel guilty about every Sunday at the kitchen table.
So here's the test I'd actually give somebody listening to this. Forget the audit they paid for. Next time anyone hands you a report on your site, your books, your insurance, whatever, don't read it top to bottom. Ask one question first. Which 3 of these do we fix first, and why those 3?
And listen for whether they can answer it. If the person who wrote it can tell you in plain words these 3, and here's why, you've hired someone who was thinking about you. If they wave at the whole list and say it's all important,
then all important means none chosen, which means the choosing is still your job, and you're the worst equipped person in the building to do it. You paid to be handed the one thing they kept.
I put a 1-page version of this on the blog. It's called the Three-Findings Audit Filter. You write down the 3 you'd fix first, the cost of leaving each one alone, and why you ranked them the way you did. You can run it on any report sitting in your drawer right now, including ones I had nothing to do with. That's the point of it.
And I want to be a pain about the sheet for a second, because the sheet is the easy half.
Go ahead.
The form is trivial. 3 boxes. A child could fill it in. Picking the right 3, that's the whole job, and the form doesn't help you do it one bit. Here, let's prove it on the air. Your audit, your 40. I get to pick my 3.
Go ahead. I want to see where we don't overlap.
I'm fixing the 3 that touch money first. Number 1, the same thing that nearly sank. Anything on a page where a buyer tries to reach you or pay you that's broken or slow or quietly eating submissions. Find me the leak in the bucket before I fix the paint. 2, the phone. If your checkout makes somebody pinch and zoom to find the buy button, you're losing the half of them who shopped from the couch. And you'll never get an email telling you it happened. 3, the moment of hesitation. The page where a buyer is reaching for their wallet and something, a missing price, a shipping number that won't load, makes them put the wallet back. That's my 3. Every one of them has a $sign on it, and every one of them, I can point at the line on the invoice it pays for.
And I'd pick differently. I'd lead with the ones that rot in the dark.
Of course you would.
The schema collision first, the doubled answer because it quietly poisons everything downstream. Then the wrong alt text, the photo that lies to the person who can't see it, because the day a screen reader user hits it is the day it stops being a tidy little defect and becomes someone's bad afternoon on your site. And third, that redirect that loops, an old page pointing to a new page pointing back to the old one, so a search engine following the trail just gives up and walks away. None of those 3 lose you a sale you'd ever notice. That's exactly why they sit there for years. They don't bleed where you can see it. They teach a search engine slowly to mistrust the whole site.
And you can't read that off the page. Nowhere on that sheet does it say, this one rots in the dark. Mine all bleed in the open. I can show the month her sales dipped. Yours, you're asking her to trust you about a wound she can't see and won't feel for a year.
Which is the harder sell and the more senior call, and the reason this is a person's job and not a tool's. Same 40 findings. You pulled 3, I pulled 3, and we didn't overlap on one of them.
Not one. Same audit, 6 different fixes, neither of us wrong. No sheet on earth prints that.
And that's the part I could never quite say cleanly until I said it against you just now. The judgment was never which problems exist. Anyone finds 40. It's which 3 you'd stake your name on this month, knowing the other 37 are watching. That's the part 19 years buys, not the looking, the choosing.
And from where I sit, the choosing is the only line item I'd ever pay full freight for. The looking, plenty of tools, look. But a person who'll stand in front of 40 true things, pick 3, and put a number on what the other 37 cost me if I wait? That's not a report. That's a decision I didn't have to make alone, and decisions are the most expensive thing I buy.
A shorter list you'll actually act on instead of a longer one you'll only file.
Would have signed for that. She didn't need 43 pages. She needed somebody to say, these 3, yeah, I've got you, the rest can wait. That sentence was the product. The agency just never sold it to her.
So go open the audit you've got in the drawer, ask which 3 you'd fix first, and watch the face of whoever has to answer.
Because that face tells you everything. Either they kept the decision for you, or they handed it back with a 40-page bow on it.
That's the first one. Sites I've never seen. I'm Christopher, that was Francis. And the sheet from the back half, the Three-Findings Audit Filter, is on the blog if you want to run it on something this week. If you do, I'd genuinely love to know which 3 you picked. I have a feeling they won't be the ones the report wanted you to. Glad you were here.